Okay. The City of Laredo Fine Arts and Culture Commission meeting is now called to order. Today's the 18th of August 2022. We're here at the Laredo Public Library, and I would, the first course of action is to do the Pledge of Allegiance. We pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And you do us the pleasure of doing roll call, please?
Yes. Julio Mendez.
Present.
Armando Lopez.
Present.
Carlos Abraham Flores. Rosie Santos.
Here.
Gail Aiken Rodriguez.
Here.
Dr. Colleen Campbell. Absent. Jesse Shaw. Absent. Dr. Martha Villarreal.
Present.
We have a call.
Going on to item number 4, citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments?
None have come in.
Before you, you have the minutes of the meeting of July 21st, 2022. If you've had a chance to review them, I'll entertain a motion. If not, take your time. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of July 21st, 2022?
I move to do so.
Moved by Mr. Mendez. Is there a second?
A second.
Gail Rodriguez, seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Going to number 6, communications and announcements. We have any?
We do have, sorry.
Go ahead, no.
We have the closing reception for the Border as a Weapon exhibit this coming Saturday, August 20th, as well as the Border Project from ISO, which is our VR installation. And then on September the 2nd, we have our opening for our next exhibit by Tania Aguilar, who goes as Barrio Pop. And on the 3rd, we have an artist talk. So I would like to invite you all to attend those events.
There's going to be an opening exhibit at Gallery 201 to 27 with Patti Orduña and her students. And will be open for the Caminarte, which is September 2nd, that Friday, for people to come by and see that exhibit as well.
And I'll bring you later on more information on it. But there will be a motor fest which we're proposing and we're working on with Cultivarte and also with the help of the West County Heritage Foundation, the Rio Grande International Laredo Defense Society, Pura Vida from Nuevo Laredo. It's all, I don't know which one it is, WCHC.
Well, Cameron Heritage Foundation.
WCHC.
What is that?
No idea, but they're yeah, it's Laredo Main Street, and then also a group from Nuevo Laredo that is called the Red Agentes, and they are from the state of Tamaulipas. It's going to be a festival which is going to be at the Three Banderas park where we had the Yo-Yo Mom. It will be different kinds of activities. Probably dance and singing and different kinds of activities. We want to have people from Mexico. We're working on probably one group that's going to come from Monterrey, plus a group also from the Corazones. I don't know exactly what.
And when is the date?
It's going to be October the 22nd, which coincides with
our street, our fundraiser.
the Laredo Center. But we're going to have hours in the morning from around 12 o'clock to 6 p.m.
Oh.
So we're hoping that when we do that, the people that are in our place are going to go to your place, or we helped other people in your place who come hours before. And we're gonna go start the festivity day with a group Fantasma. So it's being planned very well. Like I said, there's many different agencies, a lot of good people that are working on it. So we think that it's gonna be very successful. So if you hear about it, tell people so that the more people we have there, the better. But we've been wanting to do a festival after the one from Yo-Yo Ma for quite some time. And I think it's going to be an interesting and important event.
Is this being run by the Arts and Culture Commission? Who's putting it up?
Basically, all the group together for Laredo Cultural District was the one that
Laredo
started
Cultural District, okay.
with the Rio Grande International. And then we were able to get other people to come in. One of the ladies that is in the board of the Laredo Cultural District has connection with the Laredo art groups. So she's been very helpful to try to bring culture. There's going to be also an Indian tribe. It's going to be an Indian tribe or the Indian group. Carrizo Come Crudo tribe. They're going to come. And I don't know if, I think they were talking about having a drum session like the Indians do, like we stay.
Oh, that's so
They
interesting.
sing and stuff. So I think it's going to touch on many different things that we have in the book.
Do they have, or do they allow a special permission to come in and perform?
That's what we're trying to do. We're also trying to see if we can get funding, so they're not gonna charge to play over here. But like they said, we're gonna need
Yeah.
more funds to be able to move stuff over here, et cetera, et
And to
cetera.
see them too.
Especially the people, if they bring somebody from Monterrey,
Yeah.
it'll take a little bit more
Yeah.
money. But it's in the making, so.
That same day, we also have our fundraiser for Laredo Center for the Arts. It's going to be a street party, and there's a beer tasting, and we're bringing the band the Vista Kicks from California, and they just opened up for the Rolling Stones in Hyde Park in London. So it's a big get, the last concert on their tour, like that. So we're really fortunate that they're going to participate. We're going to have food vendors and VIP beer tastings also, and exhibits.
And what time?
That one is from 6 to 12.
Okay, any other communications or announcements?
Basically, what I wanted to show was a few ideas, but I'd like to use it, and can I use my phone with that thing?
Not with that one. You would need that computer.
Anyway, but I don't want to take any more time to get started.
Right, moving on to Roman numeral 7, staff reports. We have an update on the Laredo Public Arts Master Plan.
As you know, we have new management, and we met with the new team, which is Ms. Cabello, Mr. Landin, and Mr. Biazunia. We met with them to talk about what's the next step for the Public Arts Master Plan. Ms. Cabello had a really good conversation with Elia Quiles, which you know her as our consultant, and also with Councilmember Cigarroa. And so out of that came several ideas, including the next step for the master plan, specifically the Public Arts Master Plan. It doesn't mean that everything else in terms of culture is going that way, but specifically the Public Arts Master Plan is going to be managed by engineering. And they believe that's the best option because engineering has all the funding and they're the ones managing the CIP funds and managing the CIP projects. And so they believe that will ensure that the projects move faster and that we can implement something as fast as possible. I don't know if you want.
And engineering will be working with the consultant if ever there's a project and they need to find out what kind of art should go into this project. They will be consulting with Elia.
So it is still gonna be involved in the process. That's something that came from the meeting with Elia and Councilmember Cigarroa, is that they still want Elia to be part of the process. She'll be consulting, as Maria said, with engineering and guiding the process on the art side, on the art itself. That way engineering can provide the numbers, the expertise on the part of the project, but the consultant is still providing the suggestions on what type of art would go better there, what type of project would be ideal for that section. And of course, management asks us to continue assisting wherever possible. Or, yeah, I don't know if I'm missing.
And the amendment to the ordinance?
The amendment to the ordinance, they gave us some feedback on the amendments. We had already presented the amendments, legal reviewed them, and management gave us some comments on that, so we went back to legal to review the amendments. And basically what they mentioned is it doesn't stop anything in the process. So we're not stopping any of the projects because of the amendments. It is just to update the ordinance. It has nothing to do with the actual process. So.
Any questions or comments? If none, then we'll move to item number 8, which is items for discussion and possible action. The first, subsection A is presentation by our poet laureate, Rosa Maria Cirellano, who's celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday, and thanks for joining us.
Okay. No candles though. It's fine, I know. No secrets. Yeah, 76 project.
You don't look a day over 6.
I know that there's a 4 and a 7 in there somewhere.
I win. So, can I?
Yes, ma'am. It's all yours.
I'm very happy to be here with you. I know most of you, some of you don't, but hello. But I'm very happy to be here. I'm a member of the library, so I wanted to sit here because I always sit in one of those. No, you sit over here. Yeah, I sit where your face or. Okay, so I thank you so much for asking me to be here. I have a website, www.rmdayano.com, that I made to put all my poetry, all the work that I've been doing. I paid somebody to do it because I have no idea how to do those things. So, but I have all my workshops there. I have many of my poems that have been published by the paper and other, you can visit that at your leisure. So, because although I have a lot of things to show you, it's not everything that I have. Okay, so we'll start. That's me, and I was elected in. I was elected in December of 2020, and by January, I was already planning my 7 workshops for 2021. We were in the middle of pandemic. There was no way that I could do anything, so we did it by WebEx. And thanks to this lady right here, Roxanne Garza, who is my liaison, the library is my liaison. She helped me so much. And those flyers, beautiful flyers, were put by the library by Vicky Acosta, and of course under the direction of Miss Roxanne, and of course I guide them. And let me just show you. February and March, I had Love and Its Manifestations. I'm a teacher, so I go, by the months, what do we celebrate? So that's what we do. March, we empower women, poetry reading and writing. And the way we do it is, Mando has been to many of my workshops, and I really thank him. For example, the Shakespeare and Cervantes, April 2021. We always read first in English, and then in Spanish. Shakespeare, of course, in English. Cervantes en Español. Julio, you participated that year, 2021. You read from Don Quixote. Remember? Well, I try to involve as many members of the community as possible. Then I give some of my own poetry, and then I give a prompt so the community can write. And we've been surprised that so many people write, poems. That's what I do. Oh, and I didn't tell you about the open mic. We had an open mic. Ms. Roxanne has a poetry contest, And then we, all the ones, the winners come and say their poems. And we also invite other people from the community to come say their poems. We are going to have it again, and we had it this year. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is 2021. Then we had celebrating Mother's Day, and then Father's Day for 2. And then here are some of my poems. Julio, you were, in that picture of me, you're next to me in that picture.
They blocked you out.
Also, it's when you play.
Fantastic.
So at the end of each one, I say some of my poems, you know, and for the Mother's Day, I said Consejos de Mamá, and for the Father's Day, Así era mi padre. And here, instead of putting my mom, I put myself, okay? And then I put my father. I'm going fast, okay? Because they told me take 15 minutes, so I'm trying to just 15 minutes. September 2021. Finally, all of them were virtual. Finally, we all had our shots, you know, and our boosters. Well, I don't remember the booster, but we all had the shots. So I invited Norma Cantu, that you know, our famous Raquel Valles-Diaz, and we were talking about Gloria Anzaldúa, a great poet from the Valley who died very young, I don't know, in 2004 she died. But she writes about the border, and we had that prompt. It was the best, our most attended, well-attended program. Then on October 2021, we wrote Calaveras, and here you see the Calaveras. We had a lot from your sister, from Nancy Pacheco. We had a lot of Calaveras, but those 2 are the ones that came out. And look at the gorgeous flyer that Becky Acosta made for me. And of course, all night we talked about Calaveras. We actually had some in English that the Bordersland poets had written before. They had been to Mando's like in 2018 or 2019 and invited, and Mando read some of his, and then they were published. Let's see. Then they were published. I came out on front page of the Laredo Morning Times with an altar. Here I got my librarians, my other librarians, to do altares de muertos. See? And you can see Mando, Patti Gonzalez, Silvia Vargas, those are my, you know, they're always here. And then we had an explanation by Malena Charur, what the Calaveras were. And then another page with all the poems written. Well, not all, some of the poems written. And then comes the next year. January, we have 7 workshops for Write Poetry Laredo. And actually, I'm gonna have 8 because I'm gonna add another one in November. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But that's my poster for all my workshops, you can see it. And of course, my mantra is poetry is everywhere, let's find it. We can find poetry everywhere. Poetry is for everyone, let's enjoy it. So many people are afraid of poetry. No, yo no soy poeta. No, well, I'll go listen to you, but I've never written. Some of the ones who have said that have come out with beautiful poems. I can think of my friend Cordelia Caso Flores, who wrote a beautiful poem about her sister who passed. And she had told me, I'm gonna go, but I don't think I can write. Well, she did it virtually, and she sent it, and it was beautiful. Oh, they get up at the end of the session, they get up. Miss Roxanne here writes their names, and then they come up and they read, you know, all from all ages. We have a lot of high schoolers. Sometimes we even had middle schoolers, right? Yeah, Jamie, I don't know. Jamie Costa. And then again, this February and this March, we had again the love and its different manifestations, because love is not only your partner and your novio or novia, but love of God, love of country. So and also in English, Spanish, and even Spanish. We read, especially in September when it's reflections on the Day of the Border, it's Spanish. And then empowering women, we had Trisha Cortez reading Phenomenal Woman from I always invite people from the community to come and read for us. In April, that's when I had Joe and Arciniega and Tina Arciniega, or March, I don't remember, but they also came. Powerful voice, and so Shakespeare and Cervantes. I love this flyer that Nikki made for me. You know, they were contemporary, Shakespeare and Cervantes. And so how can we leave Cervantes out? Shakespeare, April is Shakespeare's month in the US, but they were not born the same, they were both born in April and both died the same day. But Cervantes was older, but they died the same day, and they're the two great of English language and Spanish. So how can we not have them? Okay, at the same time. May 2022, the previous year I had done mothers and fathers different, but we had a little problem with fathers, and that's, we have a lot of absent fathers, and we have a lot of, abandonment. So we had a young man that wrote a very poignant, and we were touched, and we said, well, it was like very painful. So they said, let's combine it. And in May, I didn't do the June, but I did May family. So we talked about mothers and fathers, and you could write about whomever you wanted, or family. We also had family, and aunts. I have one about my aunt, and so we read, and then we had so many people in that. I have to show you. That was also one of the ones that was very, very well attended. I have people in the first slide. You see Roxanne, my right-hand person, Roxanne. You can recognize Dr. Lola Norris in the middle from TAMIU. This other is people from Nuevo Laredo. One of my sisters had brought some. Then kids from United South. Yeah, that's Ali, and then Chris Soto from United South. And then we have Alexander, and the Alexander kids. Remember, Mando? There was a line of them reading their poems. So that's very, it's very, very good for me.
Celia Vargas brought her class.
Sí.
She's a prominent teacher at the school, and she brought her class.
Sí. She brings her classes.
And that's what Chris Soto did from United
Sí,
States.
Chris Soto from, those are my stalwarts. Chris Soto and, somebody else, I forget her name. I forget her name right now. But they bring their classes, and it's wonderful. And
This is at the school?
no, it's here at the library.
Oh.
They come from United South. They come to the library. And then these are the Alexander kids. They're so funny. That first kid always gets up and reads, always. And then those are 4 of my readers. Patricia Gonzalez always reads. She's missed only one, because out of 11 that I've done, she's missed only one because she was sick. And then Dr. Lola Norris always reads for me in Espanol. And Samantha Mabel Garza, the last girl, is gorgeous, and she's a wonderful declamadora, which declamadora in Espanol is different from poetry, but
That's Mexican
that's
slam
Mexican,
poetry.
yes, very with a lot of, and all of them are my friends. And here, I started my workshop, which is not part of the library. They invited me, the Border Slam, where you can see Mando there. And I tell them the poetry, the future of poetry is in the Border Slams, the slam poetry, the slam poets. Because they're so, young and vigorous, and I love them. So we talked about the borderlands, La Frontera. That's what was my writing workshop. Because, I'm gonna tell you what, and look at most of them participating, maybe 1 or 2, remember, Mando?
Everybody wrote except maybe one.
Everybody wrote except maybe 1.
And that's with only 10 minutes.
Yes, I just give them 10 minutes to write, that's all, yeah. But of course, we are reading and writing, and I give them tips for how to write, what to look for, etc., etc. I mean, I just don't tell them, right? I mean, don't tell, now you have to write for me for La Frontera. No, you what am I gonna do? No, I take you little parts.
I think, I'm just gonna interject here, I think one of the great things that Rosa Maria did was that she is, and it's really what the community needs, is the younger folks, they're more comfortable with Chicano and all that stuff. Rosa Maria has discussed how she came around to that, from being a pure Spanish file to someone who understands the meshing of languages. On the border, you can write all English, all Spanish,
Or
and
both.
everything in the middle.
Yes.
And that, a lot of people like to communicate their poetry that way. And so when we see the city's poet laureate encouraging people to write the way that they write and that they speak, it is a whole lot easier than, like, I was scolded by a lot of my English teachers when I published a Chicano style poem. But it's like, I didn't teach you to write like that. And I'm like, no, but you taught me to write. And so, so that when the kids hear that, it really is helpful.
But imagine the Spanish, I mean, when I tell them, when I was a beginning teacher, when I was young, and I thought I knew everything, remember those days? When you were young and you don't mix, my students, you don't. Either Spanish or English. I was, Miss Proper Castilian. No, qué barbaridad. But then I went into my master's program and I read The Social Linguist, Joshua Fishman, that I've never forgotten. And he changed my mind. Then I went to my PhD program at Texas A&M College Station through virtual. And then my first novel in the Spanish PhD program was Mi Querido Rafa, which are letters to Rafa, and it's totally Tex-Mex, totally Spanish, Rolando Hinojosa Smith. And I said, why? Spain loves us. Spain loves us. But also, like Joshua says, it's a dialect, a regional dialect that we have to accept that it exists. We cannot, if we say it doesn't, we are, negating our grandmothers, who speak like that, or our family who speaks like that. So you have to, yes, bring them into the realm. Yes, it is. And there are novels, and there's, of course, plenty of poems, Chicano poems. I love the one you read, Mando, the I Am Joaquin, the first one. And of course, the Chicano came about like a rebellion, like yes, we are here, pay attention to us, we matter, So, anyway, and so I got into the group. Now I want to show you, the first one was the workshops that I had to do, because I did, most of them were virtual, because there's no way. And then I first September and October, I had them in person, but then COVID came back. January, I never do in January, it's too, no. Enero, no. But February, March, and April, I did them virtual again because COVID came back. So I just did May, the one you saw were a lot of them. And then I'm gonna do one in September, God willing. September, October, and I'm gonna add one in November, which was not there because I eliminated June because of the father and the poignant, and we decided no. It was too painful for some kids to think, I didn't have a father, and I didn't know my father, or my father never paid child support from my mother, and all these, resentments. And I said, no. I mean, I guess I could have, but I said, no, let's do family. I'm here to heal, not to wound more. So these are my activities and some publicity. I read my poem, Prayer to Our River, at Laredo's North Central Park, commemorating the unveiling of a city mural. And this is the mural. And we also have, this is not a come crudo, but that's, Joey Diaz de Leon, who does a lot of, he did a limpia on me right there. So, hey, todo lo que bueno, que venga. And that's part of the mural. It's a beautiful mural. I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, go. I love that the city has so many murals now. And then I was invited to the Lights of Hope, a COVID-19 remembrance, and for that I wrote a special poem that I call The Darkest Storm. And you cannot see nosotros los de antes ya no somos los mismos. And I talk about how the little, like a raging storm in that night, changing our lives, a little tiny, well, whatever, I can't read it. And I didn't bring my poems, but I brought that. Mando was there also. Mando saw that and all the poems I read before, and then I did too. And this I took, I believe in, it says in the third to the last stanza, our indigenous ancestors knew this. Honor our departed ones with altars, bring flowers, keep mementos, never forget them. Because I asked them to say their name. There were about 300 people, right, Mando? And all of them with pictures of the people that they lost to COVID. Remember, Laredo lost like 900 people to COVID. And there were like 300, all with their pictures. And I said, call out their names. And they said, I coached them first. I want you to call out the name of your loved one. Pedro, Maria, Juan, whatever. I said, never forget them. Because while they're in our memory, they live. And that's a belief, if you saw Coco, the movie, that's a belief of our ancestors. That's why our indigenous ancestors knew this. Honor them. That's why we do the altars. And so I mixed in, the Spanish, the English, todo. In this storm, altered our world, life will never be the same. Nosotros los de antes ya no somos los mismos. That's a quote from Neruda, one of my hero poems. And then reciting my poems, this is Emi Perez, the Texas Poet Laureate. She received a grant, and she was traveling all over Texas, getting the Poet Laureates to recite some of their poems. I recited Prayer to the River, and also because it was June, and I had just published Así era mi padre in the paper, she asked me to do that. Mando also did. You can see Mando. Mando was nice enough to take us all over the river. I had never seen some of those.
She wanted me to find those little spots where we could get real close and not bump into the border patrol.
See, thank God we had Mando. Because I was just going to take her to La Posada de aquí. That's all I know, San Agustin, La Posada. But no, thank you, Mando. Mando's been very helpful. And then I went to Austin to do the opening exhibit. Just like I've done for yours, Rosie, I've done two exhibits. And I read for Luis Guerra, the Guerrero Pacifista, where I talk about his art. He's my good friend. And we're all Laredoans, Chito Vela, I don't know if you know.
Yes.
Lawyer Chito Vela. And the Guerra brothers are St. Joseph's graduates, 63, 67, I think. And Fabiola Flores de Vela is also was a lawyer here. And of course, in the middle I left the best to last, is Judge Maya Guerra Gambo, who was the presiding judge for the Alex Jones case. And that's Luis's daughter. So I did my poem, Guerrero, and she loved it, because it was that's her father. So that's my deal. And in October, of course, I was invited, but everybody was, we were masked and we were separated from, still keeping social distance. I was invited to Triumph High School, which I never heard of. Triumph High School. It's right here by the library, here. I never heard of it, but I was inviting, and of course, the art of writing calaveras. I didn't bring you that. And I was surprised to know the principal was my student. Back in Martin High School when I started teaching in 1968. So, and there I am in the classroom, with my calaveras, and then I presented to the UASD Spanish and bilingual to encourage students to write poetry during their in-service. That's wrong. To write poetry to the teachers during the in-service. Not sorry. Sissy I need Sissy to edit mine. To encourage students to write. Okay? The teachers were at their in-service. Okay, sorry. I got it myself. I didn't mean it but you can see me there. I had, it was very, very nice that so many teachers don't want poetry in their classroom. I've invited some of my friends and they don't come. Sylvia Vargas and Cristina Soto but I've invited so many. Here, the Spanish high school, Spanish department at Barn High School invited me. And I thought, they didn't tell me that it was a whole day. A whole day. Yes, they fed me, yeah. One group and another group and another group, and then like at 3:30 I said, my goodness, I'm done. I used to teach, but we had like off period, and here they didn't give me, they didn't give me a break, so.
But you do, well, again, you were a teacher, but you get to see what the teachers have to be through every day.
Yes, yes,
They have
yes.
to be on their game all
Yes,
day long.
yes. And I used to do it, I mean, I taught 39 years at the high school, so I used to do it. And of course, the other 10 at Tammy U, which is so different, but anyway, here I am. And then they love my calaveras, but they didn't come to my workshop so they can learn how to take it to the students, because it's a lot of work.
But it's also subversive. Oh, calavera, yeah, you say that somebody's dying, and but the way you teach it is
Yes.
that it's a form of protest in Mexico.
Yes, a protest. But no, they don't even come to the Mother's Day. Come on.
Well, see, maybe they have problem with mothers too.
Don't excuse them, man. They just don't.
That's Laureate built a whole.
Yeah, they don't come to the Shakespeare in Cervantes. I mean, it's not everybody likes it. They're afraid of. I don't know. That's me in one of the Rebozo. I wrote my poem El Rebozo. Came out in this calendar.
Yeah, they do a
That's
Rebozo
here.
calendar every
Yes,
year, no?
every year. They
Yeah,
do a Rebozo
they've taken
calendar.
photos at my gallery.
Yes,
for
yes,
Rebozo.
and
Well, that's
it's
an
here.
old picture from when you were 45 or something.
That was in November 2021, thank you. And then I came out, my poem was published, and every month had one of the stanzas. I mean, I wrote it before. I wrote it for the Laredo Commission of Women. No, I wrote it for Gabriela Mendoza Garcia,
Yeah,
the
the one who teaches the.
yes, the dance
uh-huh.
teacher, because back in 2017, she had a program about rebozos.
Right.
And she said, I can't find, well, I always help her, I always say poems for her. And she said, do you mind writing one about el rebozo? I said, okay, yo me lo aviento. So I wrote one, and lo and behold, it had 12 stanzas, so they used one for each month. See, lo tejieron los indígenas, etc. Telares de Santa María del Río, patrimonio de la patria. En uno niño pequeño, uno de tus rebozos pasa. I can, in Spanish, but I do in English too. So, and here I love this. I was invited to Harmony Elementary School to read to kinder students. They were so engaged with the poetry that, and they started to keep rhythm with their hands, because I took, Dr. Seuss is very rhythmical, it's poetry and rhymes. So they started in their little cubicle, see, and me with my mask, and the teacher was saying, do not get close to Ms. Dayano, but Ms. Dayano had to go and get close to them. And then they started, everybody, because they were tapping with their hands, and going, because that's what poetry is, and poetry is joyous. Poetry is joy, and I say, every time you write, say it out loud, because it's supposed to. It's like a song, and with rhythm and rhyme. That's how I taught calaveras at Cigarroa. I would have the kids, feel the rhythm, because that's what it is. So, I love being there. I love, one reason I don't teach kinder, I would just be having fun all the time, and I don't know if I would teach. Then they were nice enough to put me, in the Harmony School Innovation Invites City Poet Laureate. So they gave me publicity. By the way, in English, we hardly have any publicity in English. The one that gives me publicity is Malena Charburen in Spanish. And she's my colleague and she also comes to not as much, because she works all the time. Pero she's always giving publicity. And El Rebozo, because for the Laredo Commission for Women, I'm in that board too. And instead of giving the lady corsages, we give them rebozos. Because, yes, it's beautiful. It's a sign of our, and then for them, I brought in, I wrote a little explanation of what El Rebozo was, because one of our members said, what's El Rebozo? What's El Rebozo? This is a Mexican American, you know, but she was, and I said, well, she was born in Chicago, let's give her a break. So I wrote a little story of what El Rebozo was, and then I read the poem, you know, very appropriate, and here that was my ahijada, and the guest speaker, Dr. Gabriela Gonzalez, her husband was my student, and there we are, and Alisa is the one that put me there, so I represent Alisa, so those are my pictures for that. And then I went in March. They invited me at San Ignacio's Poetry
yeah.
Under the Sun dial.
Yeah.
Were you there?
No, but I was invited.
You were invited, yes. And there they are, we, you know, the featured poets, and I'm there, and Patricia is there. Raquel Valles Diaz is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so,
Yeah, the River Pierce approached
yeah, we were
years ago.
Years. And of course, you, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so
Axel, you were there.
Julian
Axel was
was
there.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been doing, I have gone before to read for them. I love San Ignacio.
Yeah.
Yes. And this, I was invited, I've been very popular. I've been invited by the Rotary. This was the gateway, and I gave them, I don't know what I read for them, but I gave them also a little of what being a poet laureate, and what I've done, a little bit on my workshops, and then I read Fronteriza, Border Woman, which is my iconic poem, because I'm a fronteriza, I'm a border woman, and that one I wrote in 1997, my first poem in English. I didn't think, I was a Spanish teacher, you know, good español, but I went to a writing project, a writing workshop, and I wrote in English, and from there I've been writing in both English and Spanish. Some friends say they like my English poems better than my English, I mean my Spanish, I don't know. I write in whatever inspires me, but, and that poem, The Border Woman, that was when NPR, National Public Radio, came to do a program they called Border Voices. They were choosing one poem, you know, to play, just one from Laredo, one from San Ignacio, one from Zapata, and they chose mine. And I'm not an English teacher, there were tons of English teachers with beautiful poems, and they chose mine. So, Border Woman has been my poem to go. Because of that, I think if they chose it, it must be good. So here I am with Rosie. Melissa Michi, one of your board members, invited me, and I did have more pictures of Ethel Shipton. We also read The Border Woman, and I'm from Laredo, and others. And there's Ethel. I gave her a rebozo. Oh, that's a women's Laredo City Women's Club.
Laredo Women's City Club.
Women's City Club, yes. And I had one with a podium, but it was a video, so I couldn't put it. So I'm sorry, I don't have enough poems. I mean, pictures for that. I also gave them a little talk about what it was to be. And here, that same day, I had, in the morning, at noon, Women's City Club, and at night, I had LULAC's Orgullo Latino Legacy Awards. And you see Rebozo. And I also read what El Rebozo was, the significance, and then the poem. There were like 300 people there, and I got a standing ovation for my Rebozo poem.
Bravo.
Yes, I was shocked. I mean, that was very nice. It's nice to be, and here I am in another Rotary, the original, the Founders Day, or I don't know what it's called. It's just the regular induction ceremony where my friend Mary Lou Gorecki is president. And the other one was Jorge Delgado, this one is Mary Lou Gorecki. And another time, Rosie Santos invited me to read to The Border is a Weapon, and it's a wonderful project. If you haven't been there, it's gonna be, till August 20th, only 2 more days.
Yes, but we're thinking of extending it.
You should, because a lot of people want to see it.
Yeah.
And so I read again my Fronteriza Border Woman, because it talks about the border. And here I am, featured by when I was a poet laureate featured, but by Malena Charur. I called Zoraida Negron, and no, nadie me hizo caso. That's one thing we're telling about the library too, that we need more publicity from the library, in English, because,
Yeah, it's a shame they don't make that like in Spanish and English.
yeah, I know, but, okay. And this was also Imágenes from Nuevo Laredo,
Yeah.
and that was in English, because they do publish for Laredo time, for the Laredo audience, so I wrote it in English. Okay, and the editor is a friend of mine. She's at the back, in the lower right hand. That's the editor, Rosalinda Guzman, and she was nice enough to feature my story. Okay, but again, it's in Nuevo Laredo. Valerie Godinez finally made an interview about me, and for Divino. Then I came out in Divino in November 2021 and published my short story. I was an illegal alien more than once, because it's a cute little story. When I was 10 years old, I would come without a passport and without papers, I'd say, American citizen. And come by a Hershey bar at Alfredo Santos. And then go back. And that's why I was illegal. And I did it for 2 summers in a row. And this is some of the publicity I get. Again, everything in Spanish. Ser el amor, tema de taller de poesía. And celebran a Shakespeare y Cervantes. Hablan en taller de lo que significa all Malena Charur. We also need the English, to do something for us. But I'm glad. Anyway, now we come to 3, the projects that I have in progress. La vida fronteriza, borderlands, la frontera. Writing prompt, to live in the border means. And I got this from Gloria Saldúa, that you see on the left. Gloria Saldúa wrote Borderlands, la frontera, and she has a terrific poem, To Live in the Border Means. And it's very poignant, about all the problems and the identity crisis, etc. But we tell them there's not only identity crisis, there's so many things, food, customs, and everything. Norma Cantú has encouraged me a lot to do Ansaldúa, and she says she loves this project. I just started it in August because it's the first time that you invited me. I want to continue for my September workshop. And for my October, of course, it's Calaveras, but in November I want to do, because ultimately, and you have this in your packet, the project, La Vida Fronteriza Community Project. That's a rationale for the project, the project inspiration, etc. I haven't had time, although it seems like I've been to a lot of schools, but I've been invited. I want to visit schools and get kids and members of our community to write what it is, what it means to them, and leave it as a book form, project culmination, would ask them, finish a book about La Vida Fronteriza. I don't know what I would call it, it would come as we go along, but here it is, and Norma thinks I should ask for a grant for that. Okay, because it takes a lot of money and polish and all that.
Yeah.
But that's not the only one I have. I have other projects. The project Gracias a la Vida, empowering women with poetry. I just started that one. I don't have a project rationale for that one because it just started. I used to go visit Casa Misericordia before pandemic. Of course, pandemic, nobody invited me anymore. They're very careful. Come this July, just 2-3 weeks ago, they invited me again. And I took I don't know if you know the song, Gracias a la Vida, Violeta Parra, Mercedes Sosa, sings it. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto. Me ha dado, sí. And this is a woman that's very poor and has nothing, but she has her eyes to see and ears and then I give them gratitude journals. I took all gratitude journals and said, tell me, all in Spanish. This is totally in Espanol. because Casa Misericordia is totally, you know, in español. I said, what are you grateful for? You know, right? These are women who are battered with domestic abuse, you know, victims. But I say, I don't want them to talk about that. I said, what are you grateful for? Because when you're grateful, that's, you know, a healing. It's empowerment and healing. And then I read to them poems from famous poets that empower women. And I start with one of my favorites, Amado Nervo, que dice, el proverbio persa dice, no hieras a la mujer ni con el pétalo de una rosa. Y yo te digo, no la hieras ni con el pensamiento. And then he continues saying, why? Because women are the collaborators with God, bringing life into this world. Y si algo se parece al amor de Dios en esta tierra, es el amor de una madre. And so they love it. I mean, I get goosebumps because they love it. And I said, and I also encourage them to write what is the best verse you like. And of course, everybody writes that one. The first one. No la hieras ni con el peto. And then I gave it to sister to put in a you know, to frame it. And then Josie, the girl who invited me, says, everybody wanted a copy of your poem. So I made Xerox copies and made it. But I not only read that, I read another one by Amado Nervo, the libro Plenitud, Llénalo de Amor. I don't know. I mean, I've been reading poetry since I'm this high. I still have my poetry books from elementary. So I know by heart, you know, no, llénalo. Cada vez que haya un hueco en tu vida, llénalo de amor. No importa qué clase de amor sea. So we talk about their love for gardening, their love for cooking. And so they were so excited. I get goosebumps. So I called sister and I said, I want to do this every month. Every month. Would you invite me? Yes, of course they want. Yeah. I even want to take them food, but still with COVID, you know, they still don't let anybody get their, but I eventually, at least, you know, the journals and the poems, you know, make a little booklet or something. We also read Sor Juana, Hombres Necios que acusáis a la mujer. No, of course they love them. Hombres Necios, sí, foolish.
That was one of my favorites.
Sí, acusáis a la mujer sin razón. Sin ver que sois la ocasión de lo mismo que volváis. Si con ansia sin igual solicitáis su desdén, ¿por qué queréis que obren bien si las incitáis al mal and so on? Anyway, I want to have that project and, you know, with gratitude, copies of favorite poems for a booklet, and my last one, but a project Canción de Cuna Plus, project Lullaby Plus, both in English and Spanish, and nurturing the mother-child bond through nursery rhymes. And canta, cuenta y juega con tu bebé en español. Sing, play, and tell stories to your baby. I want to rescue lullabies in English and Spanish to share with mothers and grandmothers. And here we have Santa Ana. Santa Ana. It's not a religious song, but Santa Ana was the Virgin Mary's mother. So Santa Ana and San Joaquin are Jesus's grandparents. So they're the grandparents. And we have a very traditional song, which is Mexican, might be Cuban, probably it's from all the Hispanic world, I don't know. But it's very from Laredo and from all over the Spanish world. Señora Santana. Notice how they have put Santana in one word? Because they don't realize that Santa Ana, you know, they don't realize this two word, that is, we're talking about Anne, the saint. And it's very, I don't know. And so through the ages, it's come to Santana.
They use it very much that because sometimes in poetry.
Sí, la sinalefa, claro. Sí, sí,
and
sí, sí.
There's other things, you know, that, for
Sí,
example,
se dice sinalefa.
there's this guy that sings, can't remember his name right now, and he has a song, La Habana, pero el A.B. no está.
Sí, sí, sí.
The way
La
it's
Habana.
So it's,
Sí, in Spanish we call when una palabra termina en vocal y empieza en otra vocal, se junta. Sí, La Habana. Sí, claro, chico. La Habana. Claro, that's what you hear. That's why people that don't know Spanish think we speak very fast, because we unite the words. But Señora Santana, I don't know if your mother sang to you.
Oh, yeah.
Señora Santana, Señora Santana, porque llora el
Porque
niño?
llora el niño por una manzana.
That's-
Yeah.
That's the
Vamos a la huerta.
Spanish International.
Well, vamos a la huerta, but there are little differences in the countries, which is
Yeah.
normal. But I was in the Laredo Commission for Women, and one of the members there has a little baby, 8 months, and she says, I don't know the words, I don't know. And I put the YouTube, and he goes to see. Well, what we would like is to rescue and put him in a book and have with Jackie from the library, let me go back and tell you why it started. This project started when I called my councilman, Ruben Gutierrez, who put me in the library board, and we had to tell him all the good things we do in the library, and we get no publicity from the city. We don't get any help, and that's what we were supposed to do 2 months ago, I guess. So I called him, and he said, oh, good, that's wonderful, all you do it, yes, I'll try and, get you more help. But what do you do for young mothers? I said, oh, we have story time for young mothers. I said, is that all? And I said, why are you asking? I said, did you read the headline about that young girl who shook the baby and
Oh,
killed
yeah.
it? And I said, yes. Well, why don't we have something for young mothers? And then I thought, I had that canción de cuna back when I taught at Cigarroa, because we had a PEP program there, parenting education program. We had it, and I wanted to share with the girls, with the young girls, because nursery rhymes are so important, for mother and baby. I think if you sing to your baby, if you play with your baby, este era un pollito, este lo mató. That's what I mean, simple games with your hands. And if you do that, you form a bond. How can you kill a baby if you form a bond with it? And so I thought of bringing this. Of course, this is way in the future, because I want to do my frontera first. But I think we should rescue lullabies, share with mothers and grandmothers, because many of the grandmothers are they babysit. Rescue simple games to play with baby, because so many have forgotten. Like, I don't know. And rescue stories. Stories would be different, but because that's a different. But we would put a book. See, I'm very ambitious. I saw this book that Naomi Shaid Knight, and I think it would be very beautiful. But again, I would need a grant for this one, because for this one I would need a grant, because it's hard, then to pay the graphic design, all that. But that's what I would like to do. That's our project, and that's my presentation. Any questions? Comments?
Where do you get all the energy?
Well, if you would kindly entertain Jose Alfredo Jimenez's Arrullo de Dios, because men do sing to their babies too.
Okay, well, see, we're gonna rescue with lullabies. I would do the same thing that I'm doing with the Frontera. Go, just in the Laredo Commission for Women, who was sitting next to me? Sylvia Palumbo was sitting next to me, and
I'm a member, they put me in there years ago.
In what?
The commission,
For Commission for Women.
yes.
Okay, well,
But they never invite me to the presentations when they bring in the new people.
oh,
You mean the Hall of Fame?
the whole thing.
No, just don't they have like a presentation when they induct people into the Laredo Commission for Women?
No, maybe you're not getting
No.
confused with the Women's City
we-
Club?
no. No, we don't have any, no.
Like when they nominated you?
No, well, it's Lisa, no, Roberto Bailly nominated me, and I just came in, and that's it.
Oh,
Yeah, Roberto Bailly, and then when Alisa Cigarroa came into the 8th district, she said, would you like to serve? And I said, yes, I enjoy
well, I
being
think
there.
it's a different,
Yeah.
I think it's a different group.
Laredo Commission for Women, no, our main project is the Laredo Hall of Fame, Women's Hall of Fame. That's our main
Okay.
project.
Like 2 years.
We don't do an induction or anything.
Weren't you one of them?
That's what I'm thinking.
I think you
No,
were.
we-
I think it probably is, not the commission itself, but the Hall of
Maybe
Fame.
that's.
Were
what
you
it
part
was.
of the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I
Were
think
you
so.
honored?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
years ago.
They honored us, I wanna say, like, I was also I'm in the Hall of Fame for Education in 2000, in the year 2000. You can read it in my web. It's one of the honors I got
Yeah.
for English. And they invited all of us, like, I'm gonna say 6 years ago.
Miss Wilson.
And we were all there,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know what else, but I can certainly ask.
I think that's a conversation y'all can have after. Let's
Yeah,
move on to the next
Porque ya son 4:07.
15 minutes.
Yes, oh, it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Y le puedo seguir mucho.
I know you.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, section B is City of Laredo Poet Laureate Program.
And I don't know if you had a chance to go over the rules and the application. So we can also set like a timeline.
I believe that the timeline that's set out here is that the new applications will be submitted beginning September 26th. I have one consideration that's not on the agenda, so it'll have to be on the next meeting. But we may also do what some other nonprofits did. Because of the COVID year, we might want to just consider maybe extending Los Maria for another year.
I can put that as an action item.
Yeah,
for the
but
next
let's
meeting.
talk about it when the rest of the group is here.
It'll be
Because I-
before the,
Because there was an amount of, you can see how involved and how she got so many people involved. And for her to be able to maybe finish a couple of these projects and also be able to go out to the schools, we might want to do something where we extend it a year because of the COVID. I think a lot of places are
I
doing
think
that.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, so I would ask that it be and if you're willing to consider that.
Yes,
Can we put it into a motion?
But we'd have to have it on the agenda first.
yes,
So-
and
so-
then, since she was approved by city council, it'd have to be an item on the
Okay.
agenda
On the
to
agenda,
extend it for a
right.
year.
Okay.
So I think that again, I think this form is fine, and we can vote on this form. Or we can table it and wait till we decide what we
Well, I
decide.
move to table.
Okay, the move
I'll
motion to
second.
table. Second by Julio. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So, next week, you're welcome to join us next, you're gonna hear the date right now for our next meeting, because that's the next item on the agenda. The scheduling of the next meeting.
September 15th?
Yes.
The next schedule.
De grito.
El día del grito, pues, aquí.
Might be out of time. Pero-
Okay, well,
But thank you, well,
Es el día del grito.
el 15.
Is there anything going on in
Yes,
Laredo?
they always have
Sure there
the
is.
consulate.
I think
what-
that's not a good day for the meeting then.
well, I think if it's a short meeting, we get,
Yes, I
I can get
mean,
you guys out of here by
I don't
6.
think we'll have a
lot
update
going
on the master
Okay.
plan. Maybe this will be the only action item.
Okay.
If that's okay with everybody, that,
Sure.
put it on the, unless something comes up that we need to vote on.
Hispanic Heritage.
5:30. I hear a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Second by Julio. Moved by Dr. Villarreal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Never turn it off and